Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about absolute value. We really did kind of touch on it yesterday when we talked about numbers and their opposites. When I asked you to kind of think about the number line that way, that we're really going to kind of do the same thing today with absolute value. So key difference is just what absolute value actually means, which if I can share screen quick enough with you, there we go. So absolute value refers to a number's distance from zero. So remember, we talked about how opposite values do have the same distance from zero, right? 3 and -3 are both 3 spaces or units from zero. Technically, opposites also have the same absolute value. Those numbers' distance from zero is +3, regardless if you go to the left or to the right on the number line. Remember, moving in a negative direction is different than moving negative, feet or negative miles. I can't move negative feet. I can move to the left or to the right. Ooh. But I can't move negative feet, right? I'm really moving in a negative direction. So that's the kind of key to today is absolute value is always positive, okay? Always underline that, okay? So let's just start out with some basic examples. First of all, you're going to see some absolute value bars. These are the symbols for absolute value. They're essentially parentheses that have been straightened out, is how I want you to think about it. So again, -3, thinking about the absolute value, it is 3 spaces from zero. So we just take it positive. Once you find the absolute value, the bars are gone. So you will never have absolute value bars in your final answer. Absolute value of 9, right? Again, thinking about where 9 is on the number line, it's 9 spaces from zero. The mistake people make sometimes is they just switch the sign, right? They're so used to their teacher or whoever saying, change it to positive. Well, if I'm finding the absolute value of a positive number, I'm not changing it to a negative, right? Still positive distance. So just as a kind of reminder, if you have a plain absolute value bar with a number inside, it's always going to be positive. Here's where things can change a little bit. If I put a negative on the outside, like this, right? So what that's saying is we want the negative absolute value of 4. Well, if I found the absolute value of 4, that would be just 4. And then that negative has to come down with it. Okay, so the answer here is -4. That negative is not included in that distance from zero. Here's another kind of tricky one, a negative absolute value of -8, right? So same situation, I'm going to put that negative in front first. And then I take the absolute value of -8. That is 8 positive units from zero. Just put a +8 down. And coincidentally, my answer is -8 because I have that in front. Okay. Let's do one more, just because I feel like that's so basic. We could do that all day long, but we can, I think, handle a little bit more than that. I'm going to go ahead and do a decimal example just so you have it. Let's do -6.7 absolute value plus the absolute value of 2. Make it a math problem, right? So the absolute value of -6 7/10, just a positive version of itself, plus the absolute value of 2, and then I put those together just like normal for 8.7. Okay. So I've kind of kicked it up just a little bit to ask you some true false questions, tell me which one is greater, things like that. Again, this is a perfect opportunity for you to try these on your own and then press play when you are done, okay? So identify if the statement is true or false. Absolute value of -8 is equal to 8. So whenever I see something like this, I always kind of, if I have something that's not simplified, I always do that first. So absolute value of -8 is 8 spaces from 0. 8 does equal 8. So I like to put a cute little check mark there. That is a true statement. Okay. So again, I have an absolute value of 1/5, which is positive 1/5, and that's equal to 1/5. Very true. All right, so we have -9 on this side. I'm gonna let that one just hang out. We have a negative I'm gonna bring down. Then the absolute value of -9 is positive 9. And that negative is still out in front, making that side equal to -9. -9 does equal -9. So this one is true also. When I first made this and I did my answer key, I realized, oh darn, I made them all true. I didn't think I wanted to do that. And then I thought, you know what? Kids don't think that's going to happen, so I'll leave it. Like sometimes we get in this habit of like, there's got to be at least one that's false. There's got to be at least one. So I left it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, next one, instead of true, false, is which is greater. So I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to cover one up so we can only focus on one at a time. That's kind of good for your brain sometimes if there's a lot going on a piece of paper. So identify which is greater using that greater than or less than symbol. So I have 5 plus the absolute value of -13. So first thing I'm going to do is find the absolute value of -13. And the distance from 0 is positive 13. Add those together, I get 18 from the left side of the equation. Excuse me, the left side of our problem. Next, I need to find the absolute value of 25, which is positive 25, minus the absolute value of -6, which is positive 6, and subtract those two values. So the right side is the greater than side. Remember, with these symbols, the mouth is open towards the greater side is how a lot of people remember it. Mouth, I mean, think of it as a Pac-Man or an alligator, whatever your teacher taught you when you were younger. Okay, last two that we look at, or two situations, I guess. So the distance between 8 and 2. And you saw this on your homework last night. So I wanted to reiterate that really is absolute value. We're finding the distance between numbers because distance is always positive. So if I had a number line in front of me and went from +8 down to +2, that is really just a simple subtraction problem. It gives me 6, right? There are 6 units in between those. When it comes to -3 to 5, it's a little bit different of a ball game. Now, what you could do, if you want to think of it just as subtraction also, you're really taking 5 minus -3. And that's something we haven't covered yet this year. So if you know that changes to plus, that's great. Okay. However, if you don't, what I would recommend doing is put your finger on 5 on a number line and just jump your way down to -3. So how I think about this problem, if I were to go from -3, let's start at -3 because that's what it says to do. If I were to start at -3 and go up to 0, that's 3 spaces. Then if I go from 0 to 5, that's 5 more spaces for a total of 8. And so that's how I got 8 there also. Right? Now for some applications. So I have this group of questions that goes with these, the marine animals on our number line, showing this is the elevation, right? Sea level, that's essentially the water line above and below. So it says, what is the absolute value of the shark's elevation? Well, the shark is at -9 feet, and it wants the absolute value of that. That would be 9 feet from 0. Consider the absolute value of the dolphin's elevation and the absolute value of the octopus's elevation. So I'm going to consider the dolphin and the octopus. I'm going to label that. The dolphin, the absolute value of 5 is what I'll need. The octopus, the absolute value of -20. Ooh, wrong symbol. Okay, so absolute value of 5 is 5. Absolute value of -20, +20. So the dolphin, or excuse me, the octopus has the greater absolute value or the greater distance from sea level? How far apart are the bird and the dolphin? Oh, sorry, can't scoot up that higher. We can't see it. So the bird and the dolphin, this is kind of like this one. Oh, sorry, the distance question we just went over. So the bird and the dolphin are 18 minus 5. They are 13 feet apart. Right. Now I look at the dolphin and the octopus. So I have 5 minus negative 20. And again, if we aren't comfortable with that, knowing that's 5 plus 20, here's another way to think about it. So we have, you can even write 5, 0, negative 20. No, I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to write it vertically, just like it is. Cool, just like that. So from 5 to 0, that's 5 units. From 0 to negative 20, that's also 20 units for a total of 25. And I guess I don't know why I put the word units because I actually know that these are feet. I'm usually referring to just a plain number line when I do that, okay? All right, last one. And this one I just thought was kind of cool. I'm not sure if you've ever heard that before, that the majority of an iceberg is usually under the water. We can't really see even half of the iceberg because of how it's floating and the buoyancy in the water. So I thought this was really cool. It says the top of the iceberg is 29 feet above sea level. 29 feet. The very bottom of the iceberg is at negative 70 or 70 feet below. Okay. What is the height of the iceberg? So again, if I think about that distance, what I'm really doing is I'm finding the distance from 29 to negative 70, right? Going all the way down. And I'm going to add those two distances together, 29 and 70, for a total of 99 feet. Okay. I'll see you for our meeting in a little bit. If you'd like to jump on and look at the coach or even start your homework, your exit slip, because it's Friday, no homework on Friday. But please look at that if you have time, and then I'll see you at 12:45.